I live in a pretty decent neighborhood. The lawns are always trimmed, the sidewalks pressure washed, and unfortunately, it's all patrolled by the sacred commandments of the HOA. Now, if you know anything about HOAs, you already know one of them is going to be named Karen. And mine? Oh, she was the final boss of Karen's. We clashed like cats in a dryer, everything from my solar lights being too bright to my grass not being uniform enough. I've lived next to this woman for 3 years, and she never misses a chance to remind me that I don't belong here because I don't attend HOA brunches or participate in their driveway bake-offs. Welcome to Prodigy Tales. Make sure you like and subscribe for your top-notch HOA drama. So imagine my surprise one sunny afternoon when I walk outside, yawn, stretch, and look at my garage, only to see a very familiar blue Nissan parked inside. I paused, blinked, walked closer. Yup, it had one of those HOA board vice president stickers slapped on the back windshield like a badge of entitlement. At first, I genuinely thought I was having a senior moment. Maybe I walked into someone else's garage. Maybe I blacked out and bought a car. Nope. My house number was right there, my tools still hanging on the walls, and my shelves undisturbed. I was in the right place. So I march over to Karen's perfectly manicured lawn and ring the doorbell like I'm summoning a demon. She opens it, sipping iced tea like she hadn't just broken into my garage. I point behind me and say, "Is that your car?" She shrugs and goes, "Yeah, it is. I figured you weren't using the space, and I needed somewhere to park while my son visits." I blink again. "You figured?" She nods like it's the most normal thing in the world. That's when I learned she had cloned my garage remote. I don't know how, I don't know when. All I know is that it was a federal level invasion of privacy. She didn't even deny it. She said it was easy, and even laughed. "You should keep your signals secure," she told me. That's when I knew this wasn't a misunderstanding. This was war. Before we dive in deeply, let us know in the comments where you're watching this story from. I should have gone straight to the police. I should have reported her for electronic trespass and cloning a garage remote, because yes, that's a real crime. But deep in my bones, I knew something. A fine wouldn't cut it. A slap on the wrist? Nah. Karen would turn that into a badge of honor and keep walking around like she owned the cul-de-sac. I didn't want her punished. I wanted her publicly outwitted. I wanted her legendary downfall. So I called my lawyer. He's a fast-talking, espresso-sipping man with zero tolerance for HOA nonsense. When I told him the situation, he laughed for a full 30 seconds and said, "She's cooked. That's a felony if you push it, but you didn't let her in, so anything you do next is legally golden. Just don't damage her property." I smiled. "Oh, I won't damage anything. I'll just make it unavailable." By that point, it was the fourth day of Karen casually sliding her vehicles into my garage like it was her second driveway. One day it was her Nissan, the next, her rust-covered minivan. I guess now that she'd conquered my space, she figured she could treat it like her own personal overflow lot. The audacity wasn't even subtle anymore. She'd wave at me in the mornings while dropping off the second car, sipping her kale smoothie like this was a joint custody arrangement. So I started documenting everything. I took photos, videos, even time-stamped the remote clone discovery and stashed it all in the cloud. I changed my locks, installed backup cameras, and then I waited, because revenge is best served cold, but chilled over time with a dash of planning. That's a gourmet dish. And here's the kicker. My flight overseas had already been scheduled. I was planning a 2-week trip to Spain for business and sightseeing. Karen just picked the absolute wrong month to mess with me. She didn't know it, but the clock had already started ticking on her double-parked kingdom. So I made a final call to my lawyer. "I'll be off-grid in a few days," I said. "You might be getting calls." He laughed. "Just tell me what to say when the cops show up." Oh, I would. And I'd make sure they had plenty to look at when they did. Saturday morning rolled in like a gift from the universe. Cloudy skies, mild wind, the perfect cover for what I had in mind. I waited until Karen left for her yoga class, leaving both of her beloved rust buckets cozily parked inside my garage like royalty on a throne. As soon as she was out of sight, I got to work. I didn't hesitate. I didn't blink. I slapped on gloves, cranked up my welder, and made the most glorious symphony of sparks this neighborhood's ever seen. I sealed the garage shut like a vault, reinforced the tracks, bolted steel beams across the interior supports. Then I welded the outer panels, fully flush so the door looked like part of the wall. No entry, no escape, No loophole. It was a final act of pure, silent warfare. Next, I mounted a stainless steel plate on the outside, polished to perfection, with a message engraved deep into it. Private property, vehicle access revoked due to illegal entry. HOA member violation number 462. Good luck. By the time Karen returned, I was already at the airport in a fresh tracksuit, sipping an overpriced coffee and enjoying texts from my neighbor Jason, who casually walked his dog past my driveway for the update. His exact words, "Bro, she's screaming. She called the fire department. They just laughed." The beauty of it? I didn't trap her vehicles. I trapped her ego. And because I was overseas for the next 2 weeks, there was no one around to undo it, explain it, or argue with her. She tried everything, calling locksmiths, towing services, the HOA emergency hotline. All they found was steel. Pure, legal, beautifully welded steel. Meanwhile, I was living my best life in Spain. Tapas in Barcelona, wine in Valencia, beach sunsets in Ibiza. Every now and then, I'd get an email from someone in the neighborhood updating me on GarageGate. Apparently, Karen tried to hold an emergency HOA meeting, but half the members refused to attend because, quote, honestly, she had it coming. One neighbor even made a TikTok showing the before and after of my garage with dramatic music in the background. It went semi-viral. I got tagged in it while ordering churros. Karen? She was home, losing her mind, watching two of her prized vehicles rot behind reinforced steel. When I finally touched down back home after 2 glorious weeks of European peace, I half expected a line of police cars, HOA board members, and maybe even a priest waiting at my driveway. Instead, I was greeted by a stunning sight. A crowd of neighbors casually gathered on their porches, sipping tea like they were waiting for fireworks. Jason spotted me first. "You're a legend," he said, grinning. "You have no idea." Turns out, while I was busy eating paella and soaking in foreign sun, my little act of home renovation had caused a full-blown neighborhood uprising. Karen had tried everything. First, she called the police. But once they reviewed the footage I'd left for my lawyer to submit, clear video of her using a cloned remote, footage of her entering and leaving without permission, timestamps, and even the smug confession she made, they turned on her. Fast. Karen was hit with a trespassing violation. But that wasn't the real kicker. The cops made her pay for the welding removal. Turns out, since she entered illegally and parked her cars on private property, she was responsible for getting them out and paying every penny of structural damage and repair. That's right, she had to hire a full construction crew. The cost? Over $6,000 in labor, not counting the HOA fines stacked on top. And guess what? The board she worshipped didn't back her up. In fact, they fined her for unauthorized modification of a neighbor's property, and creating conflict within the community. One of the newer board members even resigned over the mess, saying they didn't sign up for garage wars. The cherry on top, her 2 precious cars had been baking inside that metal box for 14 days of heat, dust, and garage fumes. The Nissan's battery was toast. The minivan, mold on the seats. They had to be towed off, and last I heard she's been riding a rental ever since. Too embarrassed to replace them just yet. And me? Oh, I rebuilt my garage better, stronger, and with fingerprint access only. No more remotes. I even painted a mural on the front of a locked gate. A giant red circle with the words, "Not today, Karen." The end. Please like and subscribe for more HOA showdowns like this. Have you had a similar encounter with a Karen or anyone in the HOA board? Let us know in the comments.